And here I am. Welcome everyone to another Monday morning musing webinar. It's great to have you here. And today I wanted to touch on what I consider to be an extremely important topic, which is about charging your worth. So let's get started. I'm going to have the chat box. I'm going to share the screen. I've got some slides for you. I will have the chat available if you would like to comment as we go along or ask anything as we go along. So let's start the slides. So welcome. This is a massive subject today. Are you charging your worth? And it's something that I find that most holistic therapists do not do. It is something that I struggled with for many years. But at the end of the day, we have to remember that, you know, we have to live as well. We need to be able to pay our bills as therapists. And also too, I'll never forget a mentor of mine once saying to me that I could make more difference in the world by making money than by struggling, which was absolutely true and rang true to me. And I also know very deeply now that some of the things that I want to do, some of the philanthropic, I can't even say the word, philanthropic things that I want to do, I'm going to need to have a certain amount of funds available to me so that I can do that, because it's a big passion of mine to give back. And at the moment I give back as much as I can, with lots of freebies, this being one of them. But I also know that sometimes we need money to be able to give back. And it's not about recognition, it's about just being able to do something that fulfills your heart. So let's have a look at are you charging your worth and what this is actually all about. If you are watching this on Facebook, please jump over onto the webinar, because you can actually, the registration link's in the comments, and you can actually ask me questions as we go along. So when it comes to charging what you're worth, there is no magic number. I would love to sit here and say there is no magic number to saying how much to charge for your sessions, how much to charge for your programs. And usually what I say to people when I do my trainings and people say, how much should I charge for a meditation session? How much should I charge for a hypnosis? I always say, just go a little bit higher than, you know, start saying what you want to charge, $100, $150, $200, $300, $400 an hour, and then get to the point where your voice quivers and come back a little bit. Now, there's some philosophy behind why you should be charging, I'm not going to say a little bit more, but why you should be charging certain amounts, and some philosophy around why freebies and things like that do not work. And I remember many years ago when I became a Reiki master teacher, in Usui Reiki to start with. I'm now a Reiki master teacher in a couple of different Reiki modalities. But one of the things that I remember learning was Dr. Usui himself saying that he gave Reiki to the homeless in Japan, and nothing changed because they didn't value it. So the one thing I'm going to ask you just to think about before we actually start the webinar is that if you go down to a car yard, or if you even go down to, let's say, Kmart or something like that, and you look at two blenders, let's say, and one blender's worth $30 and one blender's $120. What sort of things start running through your head straight away when you look at these two blenders? Which one do you think would have the most value? And would you be looking for the difference? And what does this make this blender only $30, but this one $120? What more features, values, or whatever does this one have? So just have a think about the psychology around what I've just said. And let's start actually going through the slides and a little bit about this concept of not charging your worth, okay? Like I said, there is no magic number to what you should be charging, and we're going to talk a little bit about this today, and maybe by the end of it, you will be closer to your magic number, okay? There is no perfect price either. Again, there's no magic number, no perfect price, but there is your magic number and your perfect price. And that's what we want to have a look at going or getting closer to for you today. Okay. Charging your worth is about more than money. And this is the one thing that I really want to drive home today, guys. Charging your worth has got nothing to do with a number. It's about how you feel and how you feel about yourself, your value, what you have to offer in the world. So a lot of people think that charging what you're worth is about a magic number, and they go looking for this magic number, but it's not about that at all. The more confidence you have in the self, the more self-worth you have in yourself, the more value you believe you can deliver, and the more confidence you have in what you do, the more you're going to charge, because you can see value in it. So it's not about a magic number or a perfect price. It's all about mindset. Yes, and a lot of people would love to tell you, and a lot of business coaches out there tell you that business is all about strategy. And I'm going to sit here and say to you that business is 80% mindset. If you do not have your mindset right, you will not achieve what you want in business. And guys, I know this from personal experience. This is not just theory that I'm talking to you about. This is something that I know because I've lived this already. And I've lived that, not thinking that I am enough, not being confident in my products, not being, even after getting testimonials, you know, even after, you know, giving transformations, not giving, but helping people go through incredible transformations, still not seeing the value in what I did. But it wasn't anything to do with that. It was about seeing the value in me. So charging your worth, and you are worth infinite amount of a price. There is no value you can put on a person. But for your services and your products, charging your worth has more to do with mindset than with the actual money itself. So let's have a look at the concept of selling, because a lot of this comes from the concept of selling itself. You know, we really do have a terrible view on, you know, on selling. It is one of the biggest blocks that people have to overcome. And we go back to, you know, the sleazy salesman, and everyone thinks that a used car, you know, usually the used car salesman gets a really bad rap, but the sleazy selling. But I'm going to ask you today that will not do the work will be the ones that pay the least. Exactly, Richard. Thank you. 100%. I'm actually going to talk about that. That's on one of our slides. Absolutely. The ones that don't pay are not going to do the work. I'll tell you that now. The people who are really serious about changing their lives, money is no object. And I've seen that over and over and over again, guys. I've seen it over and over and over again, both when I was a therapist, of which I do a little bit of that still through word of mouth only. I don't really advertise it anymore. And even with my business clients. You know, the people who want to come to you to say, I want to change my life, and then say $5,000 is too much. Really, how much do they want to change their life? What is changing your life worth to you? And this is what I want you to understand. So let's have a look a little bit about this concept of selling, because selling has a really bad rap, and perhaps you have a block around selling. People will show up for the transaction value and they pay for. Exactly right, Dave. Absolutely, they will. So let's have a look at this concept of selling. Okay. I'm going to urge you today to stop looking at your programs, at your products that you sell. Stop looking at through the lens of the dollar value. Because really, as I just said, how much is a transformation worth? How much is you changing your life worth? It has cost me, oh, look, I think the last time I added all this up in education and mentors, well in excess of 6 figures. But I would never, ever look at it like that. My life has changed to a point where I can't put a dollar value on it. I do never want to go back to who I used to be. So how can you put a dollar value on selling? So I want you to stop looking at what you sell as selling, and stop looking at it through the lens of the dollar value itself. So what if you began to look at your price, etc., through the service you provide? Instead of looking at as a dollar value, what about the service that you provide? This will shift a concept of how you hold selling for yourself very quickly if you have a look at the transformation that you provide people. It has nothing to do with money. And also, if you have a look at this from the disservice of not giving people the ability for you to facilitate a change in them, okay? So have a look at what you are selling, not from a point of I'm selling, but from a service that you're providing for someone, because that's what you're doing. You're facilitating a transformation. And when you start to look at selling through those eyes, everything changes for you, because you know what? It doesn't matter what I charge people. I look at the service that I help people facilitate, transform and facilitate for them. And for some people, especially when I was in my when I was doing my therapy with the clients that I was working with, it was life-saving, because I worked with suicidal clients. How can you put a price on a life? So it's not about the money, it's about the service you can provide for someone. And as long as you wholeheartedly believe that you can do a transformation for someone, you really need to stop thinking about that dollar amount that you're going to give them. Okay? The change you create for people. There is no dollar amount that can be put on a change in someone. Absolutely none. And I have seen it over and over and over again. So if you, when it comes to selling, if you seem to have this block around selling, switch it around very quickly and remember to look at it. What am I giving? What value am I giving this client that I am just about to make an offer to? Okay. So let's have a look at value, price, and undercharging. Okay. So if you undercharge, if you do something for free, if you do something cheap, it undermines your credibility to start with. If you're charging $100 for a program as opposed to other people charging $5,000, people will start to think, this is just the psychology of how people think, gee, that's cheap, it can't be very good. Just like the $30 blender. I know I do that all the time. That can't be very good. Why would that only be $30? I'm not saying that it's not very good. I'm just saying that that is the psychology that comes up in people as soon as they see something cheap. So it undermines your credibility. It also undermines your confidence. How, confidence is that I just did a 4-week program with some amazing souls around confidence. Now, confidence is an inside state. Confidence is something that you feel, that you curate, that you make happen. So imagine if you're constantly charging prices which you're not happy with because you're doing a lot of work, adding a lot of value. It undermines your confidence. It doesn't make you feel really good about yourself. Plus, also what happens, as some of our lovely gentlemen who are on here have already commented in the chat box, is that people don't show up. if you pay nothing for something, or pay a few $100s for something, or if you pay thousands of dollars for something, you're going to make it happen. You're going to put more effort into what you're being shown to do. So if your clients aren't paying a value ticket, so to speak, they're not going to show up. And of course, then they're not going to have the results that you want. And that's going to undermine your confidence even more, because you're going to think this doesn't work. Okay. And this is what I'm talking about. It undermines a client's performance. How much value do you put on something that's, you know, a few $100s as compared to a few thousand? You're going to show up. You're going to do the work. You're going to make sure that it works. And the biggest change I can tell you that I have ever seen working with clients, and that's with my business clients as well now, is that the less they think they can't afford it and still show up and pay up, the bigger the results. The people who come into the programs without worrying about the cost, or they have the money's freely available, it doesn't affect them as much, don't show up and don't do the work as much. And, you know, this just happened not very long. I worked with a couple, and the gentleman, so to speak, that was in the relationship, he didn't value the program as much because it wasn't hitting him in the hip pocket. But then when he realized that he wasn't doing the program properly, and I actually made him repay and redo it the second time around, let me tell you, he got the results that he wanted and the clarity that he wanted. So this is what I'm saying. So I've always seen this in my clients, that the more they value, as when it comes to price, thinking it's expensive, they can't afford it, that it's worth a lot to them because it's cost them a lot of money, the more they show up and the better results they get. And this happens over and over and over again. Okay. Money also motivates you as the therapist, as the consultant, and as the client, because if someone's paying you thousands of dollars to get a result, I tell you what, you're going to make it happen. You're going to really put in more effort. And also too, because you feel confident, you feel valued, you feel worthy, you're going to do a better job. You're going to show up a little bit different. Whereas if you're not being paid what you're worth, although it could be unconscious, but there is a little bit of an underlying resentment there, that you're doing a lot of work for little reward, and you do not show up as much. And I've seen this with therapists before. I've seen this through therapists that I have trained, and then have gone out there and have started charging not very much money, and then they've gone on being burnt out, on being worn out, and all these sorts of things, because their resentment starts to kick in, because they're not charging what they believe to be the right amount of value for them. And it's about value. Okay. And as I already said, money motivates your clients, and it absolutely does. Okay. So let's have a look at, sorry guys, I'm just moving the chat box around because it's getting in the way of my slides. So let's have a look at, what are you worth? So what you're worth is coming from your beliefs. What are you worth? As a human, you're worth everything. So what sort of beliefs come up for you when it comes to what are you worth around your products and the services that you're selling? So let's have a look at some beliefs. What sort of things are coming up? Okay, and one of the easiest ways to understand these beliefs, that if you say to yourself, I want to charge $2,000, I'm just going to throw numbers out there, $2,000 for my program, but the minute you say the but, you're coming up with a belief that's not true. So do you think you're not worth it? Do you think no one will pay? Do you not trust your abilities? It is so important to have a look what beliefs are coming up. Every time you want to raise your prices, what beliefs are coming up? I also know therapists, hypnotherapists, clients, consultants that are still charging the same amount of money that they were charging 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So what's actually underneath those beliefs? So if you want to charge a certain amount of money for a product because it's aligned to you and you believe that you can give that value, and then you're not doing it, have a look at what beliefs are coming up for you. And I urge you to challenge those beliefs as to whether they are true or they are just facets of your thinking and your imagination, because the clients are out there, okay? So let's have a look at some things that you can do to start changing this all around, okay? First of all, take the emotional charge out of selling. Figure out what those beliefs are that you've got, what emotion is present with that belief. Start working on it. If you cannot do this yourself, guys, get yourself a mentor or a coach. I cannot express this enough. My ability to become the coach and the mentor that I am today is all due to the mentors, the coaches, all the training that I have done. I haven't done this all by myself. I've had coaches that have pushed me, that have triggered me, that have made me have to really face some of my biggest demons about myself. And it's great. And you see me, and you know, a lot of people say to me now, they see me on Facebook, and let me tell you, it wasn't that long ago that I would not be able to jump here and even do a webinar like this where I'm giving you a lot of my opinion. You know, I would just go with the flow, and there was just so much charge and so much emotion around not feeling enough, not thinking I'm good enough, not thinking that my abilities were enough. So take the emotion out of selling. And if you cannot do that yourself, find someone to help you and fast track this. You will eventually do it on your own, but you know, how long do you want to wait for this? And, you know, it was just a few years ago, I thought, I'm not doing this anymore. It's time to really step into what I want to do and to be able to share with the world what I want to do, because it's really important to me to go beyond my boundaries and beyond the people that I know, and to take what I have learned and what I've been able to do outside of just me and my clients and my community, and spread it as far out as I possibly can. So remember to take the emotion out of selling. You're not selling, you're giving someone a service, you're helping someone. Making the commitment to get a dedicated coach myself has made a huge difference to the consistency and level of my results. Absolutely, Dave. It absolutely does. It makes you work. It makes you get out of your box. You're in your little box, and being able to work with a coach, with a mentor, allows you to get out of your box. And is there any value in that? I mean, really, sometimes people want guarantees that they're going to make a certain amount of money, but I'm here to tell you that, you know what, there are some things that happen when you start working with a coach or a mentor that is intangible, that goes beyond that value of money. Get out of your own way. Absolutely, Dave. Get out of your own way. Get out of your own way and do it. I did it, and I was on the verge of bankruptcy when I started doing this, guys. And you know what? It was incredible because the money just kept coming. And this is the sort of thing that you want to do with your clients too. You will be surprised how they get out of their own way when they pay for it. And of course, then it has all that ripple effect for them. It has a ripple effect for you as well. Okay. So once you get the emotion out, you start understand your value, understand what you do. And I'm not talking about just tangible, like I just said. It's also a case of practicing what you preach. If you don't commit to having a coach, why would a client use our services? 100%, Dave. 100%. 110%. And I see that all the time with my business clients. They want to create businesses and they will not pay for the service. So how are you expecting your clients to pay if you're not going to pay for yourself? Exactly right, Dave, 100%. So all the best coaches, including Dave, that I know really, really well, work with someone. And I'm constantly looking for my next mentor, my next coach, and I've worked with a lot of amazing coaches, a lot of amazing mentors, and I have learned things from all of them because they are all awesome. Some of it is intangible. Some of it hasn't resulted in, looking at working with them and then getting a dollar value at the end. It has been an intangible, and you cannot put a price on an intangible result. Let me tell you guys, I wouldn't be where I am or who I am today if I looked at always what's it going to do for me in the sense of a tangible amount. So understand your value, understand the client's pain. If your client is in a pain, what value can you put on that? Have a think about it. Have a think about what makes you comfortable. You need to have a look at, of course, what makes you comfortable to charge, okay? What would you do, how would you work with this person and help them resolve their biggest problem in life and make you comfortable, not only charging that amount and saying, oh, it's not too much, but also you've got to look at the other end of the spectrum and not saying, I'm doing all this work for nothing. So it's a happy balance and a happy medium, and everyone needs to find their own. But I'm telling you that if you can't find that, this is a real big mindset problem. So understand your client's pain. When I was working with suicidal clients, what value do you put on someone's life? Because that's what we were looking at. Okay? So it goes beyond having a look at a dollar value. Do work to increase your self-worth. If this is really something around your self-worth, if you don't think you're good enough, if you don't think that you're worth it, have a look at where that's coming from. And that's, again, where a coach or a mentor will help you get through all those blocks. And there's some of the stuff that I had to look at. I believed that no one was going to pay me for my services. There was no way people were going to pay me thousands of dollars to come and have breakthrough sessions. And I remember when I first did my NLP training, and some of the students were coming out of that class saying that they were going to charge thousands for breakthroughs. And I was sitting there going, how can you do that? How can you charge that? But then I had to work on my own self-worth issues. And when I realized that they were my issues, not other people's, and I began to charge what I believed I wanted to charge for my breakthrough sessions, clients were coming out of everywhere. I was booked fully one-to-one for a couple of years. So it was my stuff. It was nothing to do with it, because clients were seeing the value. I wasn't. But it wasn't the value in them. I wasn't seeing my own value. So if you need to increase your self-worth, and work with someone to do it, fast track it. What are you waiting for? Where do you want to be in 12 months' time? Do you still want to be where you are today? Okay. And focus on the value, not the price. You cannot put a price on life-changing transformation. So I urge you to really have a look at what's going on for you, and to have a look at, if you are not charging what the market norm is, at least what the market norm is. And I know there's a massive discrepancy around that, but what the market norm is, then you need to do some research, have a look at what the market norm is, have a look at what other coaches are charging. And if you're focused on that dollar value, you need to start looking at what value you give rather than the dollar price value. Okay. If we don't commit, yep, I read that. Beautiful. And make sure that you communicate that value to your clients. Sometimes clients don't understand what they're going to get. So one of the things that you can do is, once you take the emotion out of selling, is that you are actually more likely to be able to communicate the value that you offer, and the clients see beyond the price anyway. But at the end of the day, if someone is not going to pay you, they're not your clients, They're not ready to make the transformation. It has nothing to do with you. They're not seeing the value in what you do, and it's not necessarily about you. It is actually could be about them. So you need to really have a look at what's going on here. And that's why I constantly say, if you have a coach or a mentor, they look at it from absolutely outside the box, which works really, really well. And in a couple of weeks, guys, I'm hoping to actually run a sales challenge in my Entrepreneurs Leading with Intelligence, I was going to say intentions group. So I'm hoping to run a little bit of a challenge in there, just to have a look at some of this stuff and how you can communicate your value to clients. But if you can see your value in what you do, you'll be able to communicate it to clients quite easily. Okay. And get comfortable about discussing money. I cannot believe how many people feel so uncomfortable about discussing money. And you know what? Money is just a means to an end. It's just how we exchange value, and you need money to live. So many people, whenever I jump on Facebook and do a live, and the other day I actually did a live on money and said, look, I don't want to hear from anyone who finds this in any way offensive. So many people get so caught up when you start talking about money. Without money, you can't live. Without money, you can't pay your bills. You can't get food. One of the biggest stresses that people have in life is around money. Yet it seems to be something that people do not like talking about, do not like discussing. They feel so uncomfortable around money. So if you feel really, really, really uncomfortable around money, you have got to change your relationship with money. You've got to change all those limiting beliefs, all those thoughts, all that emotional charge that you have around money. And this was something that I had to work with as well. I had a lot of limiting beliefs coming from my childhood around money and how bad money was and how people with money would act and things like that. And I'm here to tell you that it's just limiting beliefs. It's your thoughts that are creating these beliefs and these emotions that you have around money. So if you have trouble discussing, thinking about money, you feel uncomfortable about money, you need to get something done about it. Please reach out, because I do have an 8-week online program that's starting in October, which is all about transforming the way you feel about money and becoming friends with money. Because if you really have an aversion to talking about money, to discussing money, to allowing money to come into your life, and it's a real taboo subject for you, like it is for many, many people. Yep, me too. Chat later about your course. Lost the code. Yep, no worries, Richard. If you really have a lot of these hang-ups around money, you've got to change your money rules, your money stories, because you will just constantly block that coming in. You will constantly block the way you talk to clients, and you will not see the value, because you will always look at everything that you do through that lens of the dollars. Okay, so thank you again for watching today. Thank you for everyone who is on this webinar today. As you know, you can find me on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn and Instagram. That's enough for me for now. If you want to know anything about my money programs, I do work with business coaches, holistic therapists, people with conscious creators, people with a message out there, and I work with their business and their money blocks at the same time, because you can't have one without the other. So if you would like to have a free chat, please, obligation-free chat, just reach out. You can just send me an email or PM me on any of these platforms. So thank you again. Great, Dave. It was so nice to have you here, Dave. Very nice, and look forward to chatting with you this week as well again. So if anyone has anything, please reach out. I look forward to seeing you next Monday morning at 10 a.m. again. And I'm going to run the webinar next week is going to be about Armed for a Growth Mindset. I know I ran this through one of my groups a couple of weeks ago as a challenge, but I actually want to do it as a webinar now too, to have it recorded and put in a safe place. So thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for being here on the webinar. I'll send this through. Please reach out. Like I said, obligation free, chat with me to see if there's anything that I can help you with. So I look forward to seeing some of you soon. Thanks again for being here, guys, and I'll see you all next Monday. Bye for now.